Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. Welcome to SKTV. We want to welcome each and every one of you to SKTV this morning, this afternoon. Um, Today, as you can see on your screen, on top of your screen, or so forth, um, what are some challenges the next administration could face? Today, we are preempting, we are here to talk about the future. We are here to talk about some critically important things that matter. We want to welcome all of you to SKTV. Welcome, 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 and welcome to this Thursday, um, April 4th, April 7th. Sorry about that. 2022. Thursday, April 7th, 2022. We'd like to welcome all of you. Uh, Today, we want to talk about a lot of things, in as much that there are a lot of things going on. We still want to talk about a lot of things. We want to welcome you to the show today. Share the show, invite someone, um, so that we can get started. There are a lot of things going on. Amongst those things, we have decided to have a national conversation um, on voters' education, on some of the expectations of the next administration. Um, so, a lot of things to talk about, a lot to chew on today, a lot to discuss today. But overall, we want to welcome you. As always, we want to reference the Liberian people as the most important people on earth. But most importantly, we want to reference the Liberian women as the most beautiful women on earth. We say welcome to the show today. A lot of things going on in our country, around the world. There are still a lot of things going on as well. But in all, we are grateful to be alive, and we are here today to have some of these national conversations. Today, as you may have heard or you may have seen, SKTV will be playing host to Mr. Abdullah Katamba, who's going to be one of our, let me not use the word one of our, but who's going to be our guest for today. I want to welcome all of you. We're going to talk about the importance of voters' education today. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about some of the possible challenges that the next administration could face. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about some of the importance of voters' role and responsibilities. Very important as well. These are things we want to talk about today. Amidst everything that's going on, rest assured and trust that SKTV is aware of what's going on. If you were to go on SKTV's page, Facebook page, you would see, the different news reportings and so forth. But we are here to have a different conversation and maybe keep some of those things for Saturday or so forth. So yes, we're here for national conversations as part of what we have chosen. And that's what we're going to do today. But in the meantime, we want to recollect. We want to bring you up to speed to some things. I already started having some notification that some people are saying they're not receiving the notification from the show. So that's something that I think we're working on as well. Today I don't want to say multitasking, but today I'm going to be doing a lot at once. So bear with me while we settle in here and while we get some things going. Bear with me really, really quick. I think it should be out there. Bear with me. Some people are still saying that they're not seeing and they're not getting the notification, which is a little strange, but it's been happening. Okay, we'll continue at some point here very soon. But let's get into some of the things that are going on. Quickly up to speed, and then we will go into our musical break, share the show, and hopefully by then Mr. Abdullah Gyatama should be anywhere around here so that we can start this conversation really, really quick and be out of here. Today, we're aware of the things going on in Liberia in terms of this, whether it's scarcity of rice versus the price of rice being up high. Some of these challenges that the government and the Liberian people are faced with, we're aware of it. We will not go into that today because there are a lot of things, there are a lot of contributing factors to these things, starting from whether it is the economy, whether it's global, whether it's, something that the government brought upon itself in the Liberian people. We'll try to get into it at some point, either on the weekend or so forth. We'll try to dive into that. But that's a side point for this conversation right now. We're also aware of other things, national issues that are going on. Vice President Joy Howard Taylor's statement. We're aware of how different groups, different people have responded to her in her position. And we have our saying, as always, into it as well. So we're aware of that. Another thing also we're closely monitoring, we're closely following are some of the moves of the government. Some things that are being done at this point, at this stage. Very interesting. And also within the opposition, we're aware of some of the moves, some of the things that are happening. We're aware of them. But these are not some of the things that we'll cover today, like I said earlier. So a lot of good things are happening at the same time. A lot of challenging things are happening. We have some serious inside scoops on some things that we might not talk about today. We'll keep them for Saturday or so forth. Because today it's geared to a total different conversation with Abdullah. Hopefully, we can stay focused on that conversation or on those conversations. But there are a lot of things happening. Sometimes you can't help the fact that a lot of things are happening and people just want you to jump into it and address it and so forth. But we try not to rush with some of these important, critical, and vital informations. Why, everything is still happening. We try to gather the facts in some understanding in the context of these things so that we can speak on it, not just responding to them or having conversations about them from an emotional standpoint or from a reactive standpoint, because everybody's talking about it, so everybody should talk about it at once. Not necessarily for us. So these are some of the major issues. We're aware of the court proceedings with whether it's Mr. Alexander Cummings with Zarina Cephas and the government requesting a WhatsApp. In as much as it sounds funny, it doesn't make any sense from a logical standpoint. It's problematic. That WhatsApp servers or administrators or someone from there should come and testify. I hate it. After they've omitted some of the evidences that should have been brought up, now they are requesting that WhatsApp should come and testify. But not only that, some of the requests they're making, Mr. Alexander Cummings should present his passport with his visa to show that he came to America and so forth. And doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, to be honest. Very inconsequential requests. Another thing also that we are also aware of is the case against the Unity Party and the ALP when it comes to feeding candidates in Lofa County. We're aware of that. The case is ongoing. We are aware of that. We're following the case, we're following the case as well. We're following the case as well. So yes, so a lot of different things is going on at once. So we are following, and we'll bring you up to speed to some of these things that are going on. We will. Yes, so far, so good. So far, these are some of the things that we look forward to. These are some of the conversations that we look forward to having here very, very soon. Very interesting moments, very interesting times, but at the same time, very interesting people. Having said this, we will have a couple of announcements here and there right after the show to keep you up to speed as to what's going on, what to expect for the rest of the week, especially getting into the weekend. We would have one or two announcements, but in the meantime, help us to share the show as we will get on our musical break here. I got a text. I got a text message from someone that why I'm laughing. But yes, help us share the show. And let me just tell you quick before we go on the musical break. Let me make a confession. One of the reasons I was late, I blame Telvi. Telvi arrested me. It was not easy. Telvi arrested me. It was not easy. So Telvi could pop in anytime from now on the show. So what? And also, today's a big day for us on SKTV. Today is Seku's birthday. Seku Kane, as you all will know, and you are already aware. Seku is in fast month. They're fasting, but he's also, doing all he can to work his way back up. I beg you, don't bring out all the noise yet. Sit down, I beg you, don't bring out noise yet. Abdullah looking for rest to Bavwing and call the show. I don't in other one. I won't bring noise. on the show yet. but yes, it's Seku's birthday. Let's wish Seku happy birthday. If you can, call him, text him, reach out to him, whatever your Facebook, whatever ways or means you have. Feel free to reach out to Seku. Today that his big day. I know say what we do. If that was not fast more now, not fasting time, that we're planning on eating some serious, rare chilling. Eating some serious roasted meat, drinking a tahe, and all the different things there around. But we'll catch up. I know for sure we'll catch up. Right after the fast, I know we'll catch up. We'll make it up. Can you imagine? I haven't seen Seku for a while. 2 or 3 weeks now. We haven't seen each other. It's all been phone call. Even I know you're really, really busy. But Seku, happy birthday to you. Like I said on my page, you're a good man with good heart. Happy birthday to you. And as always, I wish you all the best. You are a good man. Very, very good man. So I want to wish you all the best. We thank God for a new age for you. And we hope you enjoy your day. I know we spoke briefly. And you will, based on what you said, you are so grateful for life. And I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you anymore. Somebody asked me for my personal cell phone number. You're fine, I ain't getting my personal cell phone number. I'll put my personal cell phone number on here after 2023. The inauguration 2024. Regardless of who's president, I'll put my personal cell phone number here before I go Liberia for the inauguration. My personal cell phone number, I will drop it in on the live feed. That one, that either. I'll drop my personal phone number there. Yeah, you don't believe it, you see. Yes, but let's get to the musical break really quick. Again, it's Seku's birthday. Seku, happy birthday to you. Guys, let's share the show as we move on to the musical break. We will also try to make contact here really quick with Abdullah and see where he is and what's going on. Normally, I know Abdullah now. He's not a guy who runs late or so forth. So I love this Takun J music. But y'all come and get there with me again, but it will be fun. Everybody will be okay. We'll play one of our favorite songs here, The Country Giant. We haven't played for a long time. The Country Giant in situation you can't handle.
Amanda, Aweto, Maipuye, Iliberia, Maipuye, Jovia, Deble,
Trigger.
Aha, y'all on the road, the Country Giant ready to take over.
Like it.
Y'all on the road, Papa coming again. Y'all on the road, Papa Georgie coming again. Y'all on the road, Mama Joe coming again. Rossi, Dishan coming again. Lale wo Country Giant coming soon. Better move, I say you're better move your move. You deserve all the get away. Pulling back the get away. We coming again. Who wanna Rossi, Disney coming again. Young who wanna Roger, we are coming again. Who wanna Mama Joe coming again. Open the road, see the shank coming again. Now the whole Country Giant coming so. Better move on and roll. Say you're better move your more. Take it away. Better get away. We coming again. We supposed to win this game. Nation for democratic change. Now the whole country champion they coming so. You better move on the road. I say you better move your foot. You big Paris and get away. Better get away. Yen say I'm on bo, I say I come. I double, Mosigo corridor. Yen say I'm on bo, I say I come. See DJ shake your body, DJ shake your body, why don't you shake your body, DJ shake your body, Acha le oh, see your le oh, Acha le oh. Le oh say, acha le oh say, we'll celebrate. I wear Mosigo corridor. Today is I wanna go there. We'll celebrate. We'll celebrate. It's a beautiful day. We'll celebrate. We'll celebrate. Déjà bien ready. We'll celebrate. It's a holiday, your moment. We'll celebrate. You be bodies in your way, yeah. We'll celebrate. Nothing you can tell us now. We'll celebrate. Nothing you get to tell us now. We'll celebrate. We are inside the breeze. Politicians ain't worried. Mama, you are inside the breeze. Nobody ain't worried.
Brothers International, y'all.
We feeling we in a race.
CDC.
2017, we feeling we in a race. Everybody look at this. We feeling we in a race.
Y'all moving on the road because we coming in with four. Kakabella, Jella, Wapi. We coming there, y'all defeated. Big politicians, we putting y'all on the ground. CDC, feeling take it. Moving party, y'all can see it. John Man, we are. Joe, Howard Taylor. Hey, Crook Brothers, huh? We the one that caught the giant. Y'all know we the lion. We all lion strip on giant. So save the people then from the hands of the wicked one. Dakim and Fuha. So this time they gotta get away. But we are Popo. That's sleeping for this supposed to Popo. Enter Joe and Popo. I'm picking like that's supposed to Popo. They call our heavyweight. That we the champion team. Peaceful we remain. International we do be. Sing with me, say, Acha le oh. See oh le oh. Acha le oh. See oh le oh. Power to the people, report the men and do evil. They say the people why I'm putting them in the spot. They get a big king, no easy rapping can rap the king. Can they get away? When it's about the in your space. Like Tarako with plugging. CDC now take it. DC, CDC, we the champion team. Boom,
You Jezo, ruling party, you're in trouble. Come on, y'all move on the road. CDC coming in with four. We're not taking the straight for Joe. We're battle out to the chicken toe. AFP say y'all win the team, but who about to win the team? Now we the champion team, so for to win the game. AFP say y'all turn giant, but win the lion from Zion. Now we the whole country giant, we eat again and we eating Kayan. So if y'all walk, you be people, y'all be making butt. AFC we not someone sir. If y'all ain't on the road, I keep with pour in your mouth. Ruling party, Jella, Walla, every one of y'all making paka. You guys see we take over, so y'all coming in with power. We don't y'all for making fault, I will offer and making love. All the other party then going straight down to the doors. CDC we standing tall, observing and watching y'all. Y'all think that I'm thinking team, so be cheating the winning team. This time we too aware, so we changing the referee. This time we too aware, so we changing the referee. Y'all move on the road, Papa come here again. Y'all move on the road, Papa Georgie come here again. Y'all move on the road, Mama Joe come here again. Move on the road, see DJ come here again. Now the whole country giant coming so different. Better move on the road. I say you're better move your road. You kiss about to get away. You sleeping for they get away. We come here again. Move on the road, see this come here again. Y'all move on the road, Joe, we are coming again. Move on the road, Mama Joe, I come here again. Up in the road, see this come here again. Now the whole country giant coming so different. Better move on the road. Say you're better move your road. Joe, we are coming home. Better get away. Amanda, Maipuye, Iliberia, Jovia.
DCENT.
Brothers International.
All day.
I think you know Bill Gunn, Big York, New J.
Well, I play one of my. So I start playing my song. My girl Helena came out straight. I know what to do to get Helena out. So I start playing my song. She been there with me in a few days. She said she will not come on the show. She been protesting. Soon I play our president's song. So I play our CDC song. My girl Helena, my bounce on us again. Helena, welcome to the show. I know you my real girl, so you're not going nowhere. This CDC been there inside me and you. I'm leaning towards CDC now. Yep. Anybody will not like, I'm leaning towards Liberty Party. I'm leaning towards CDC. Yep. I don't know next month where I'll be leaning, but for this month, I'm leaning towards CDC. Yep. The party I'm leaning towards right now as we speak. But yes, happy birthday to you, Mr. Kane. We've made contact with Mr. Abdullah Kyatama. You will be seeing my face. You will not see his face because of the country we have, the weather, and all the good things we have, with the state of the economy being very strong. The internet connectivity is very strong. You can't say the truth, then I mean you hate the country or you hate the government or you're evil and you like to speak evil about your country. So we're all very delusional people per CDC's view. So Kyatama will be coming on via the phone. Unfortunately, he will not come on live for you to see him. So you will be seeing my face. Can you imagine that? Yep. But President Weah is the best president since 1847. Yes. By all indications, yes. Everything is going well in the country. Nobody should worry about it. And my sister Helena and other people believe that. And so we believe so too as well. I guess that's where we are. So the internet situation in Labrador, unfortunately, will not permit Kyatama to come on. So he's in situation he can't handle. Apart from looking for rice to eat. Oh my goodness. Yep. In the 21st century, he in situation he can't handle. Let me make contact with him again really quick here so that he can call in for us to get started with this conversation because we need to get this rolling and get going. So let's see. Yeah, really quick. Let me see. I'm very sorry, guys. He's going to be calling any moment from now, and you'll be hearing from him via very interesting time. Let's see here. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Helena, I said I leaning towards CDC. I said I leaning towards CDC. He said I stay joking. Joking for what? I leaning. What are you talking? Hello?
Yeah.
Mr. Abdullah Kyatama, welcome to SKTV. You're live now. Everyone can hear you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, my friend? How are you? Happy to be here. Hope everything going well at your end. I'd like to extend my regards to the SKTV family and your audience as well.
Well, this has been long coming, and I think it's your first time maybe appearing as a, let me use the word guest contributor, because this does not look formal and official. And I don't want to get in trouble with you. I don't want to be held in contempt.
I think I've jumped. I've called. I think I've contributed. You were meaning a question. I think SKTV about a year or two ago. I can't remember.
Okay.
On video, I was driving one time and I got. I just kind of and I give my view on something. So that has happened. And I've called it in one time. I called so about 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
About 2 or 3 times. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll hope that the internet and your connectivity would settle in here so that we can schedule let me say an in-person interview where you would appear on the screen for us to have a face-to-face to see the facial reaction when you make your contribution.
Right.
Well, let me start off by letting our viewers and our listeners know that Mr. Abdullah Kyatama is joining us via phone from Monrovia, and we're here, like I said earlier, to have a national conversation about a lot of different topics, a lot of different things going on. And our conversation would be focused mainly on some of the challenges for the next administration, whether it is the current government that retains its seat or a new administration that comes around. We're going to talk about some of the challenges. We're also going to talk about the importance of voters' education and, voters' role. What is the role of, the citizens and voters? So these are areas we're going to be focusing on our conversation here today. We know that some of you might want to talk about the rights issue and other things that are going on. That's fine. We will talk about it in another segment. But today, that's where we're going to be focused. And Mr. Abdullah Kyatama is joining us from. Are you in Monrovia or you're in Grand Cayman? Where's your location currently?
Monrovia.
Okay. All right. Well, from Monrovia, and we want to say thanks for making time to be part of our conversation today. If I may ask, how's the fast going so far? How's the country so far? How everything going?
Well, like US here, country, first I'll start with the weather. The weather is mild. It was extremely warm the last several days, but it's mild. And the Ramadan is going good. The country is all focused on this whole rights issue, and some developing news, but the issues around rents on radio stations. People are talking about that, and also the RRA issue. And those are the trending news in the country. And people are also just generally, there are two major appointments in government, the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation. And so those are the two dominating views. Obviously, the economics, Unity Party issue is still basically on the radar. It's still emblazoned on the headlines in the country. I don't maybe the TikTok news is the rights, RIA, the Liberty Party, UP situation. Those are the top for this week at least. Those are the driving narratives that are influencing the discussions everywhere, at least places where people are interested. So,
wow, this is huge, especially from the Sydney administration's end, especially or considering we are a couple of months away from the general elections. You would think that maybe both the ruling party and the opposition will be gearing for elections and preparing, but it seems as though there is no signal of that yet, as of yet. In other countries, by now, you'll start sensing that fever, that momentum, especially in the West and other places. What does that say about our democracy before we get into the conversation for today? What does that say about our democracy?
Well, I think you made a very profound point. By now, the race will have taken shape. You have had opposition constructing their narrative, their case for why the incumbent should not be re-elected. They are mobilizing people. They are tracking they are making projections about their chances. They are preparing themselves. They are mobilizing rural strategy, urban strategy, messaging strategy, resource mobilization strategy. Opposition is gearing up. They're ready. They fire up. Especially after 2020, when the opposition gained so much momentum after the elections. 15 seats, opposition Schumack mercilessly defeated the ruling CDC government. And so they had a momentum, they had a wind at their back, they were ready. I mean, it was like CDC people were thinking, dang, this thing is over for us, it's too early, the signs are ominous, it's scary. The thing is getting close to the door. I mean, this is a storm, this is a thunderstorms. And remember, no shelter for us, no political shelter. We can find no political shelter. So at this, and then everything, boom. How did that happen? It's like the people can say in political mathematics, 10 times 0 equals 0. 1 million times 0 equals 0. you can make 1 million progress. You tell me about 0 as 0. You know, 1 billion times 0 as 0. So 0, so you start multiplying your own effort by 0, nobody believes in you. You know. You start multiplying your own effort by 0, nobody got going on your head. In fact, on the eve of, you would think that, okay, the CPP people are falling apart and they're going a separate way. And then you find you using your deadliest weapon on your opponent, on your members in your group. Then the ruling elite. So something like I swear behind the people that are working. Not only people can swear. That will swear this all. I swear that all that Gabi against the Western and she said in the day. You know. So you don't fight. That opposition offer again for the movie. So it speaks to that. So at this point, you would have seen things are taking shape. Undecided voters are thinking. Voters are making up their mind. And people are saying, look, this is my path. This is the vessel. This is the vessel through which I will express my political affinity, my political support, and to make a bold statement about what I think is the direction of the country. This is what people expected. But this is not what has happened. So we got to live with the reality as it is. You know, they say you got to deal with two realities. The reality as it ought to be and the reality as it is. So we now have to deal with the reality as it is. And the reality as it is ominous. It is heartbreaking for the opposition. It's heartbreaking for even the democracy, because instead of people engaging on the strength of their ideas, they try to extend the war to the court system, to the courtrooms, to personal destruction. And that does not advance the overall agenda of building a robust economy, a resilient health system that can withstand shock, that people can access, give themselves preventable care, you know, and expand opportunity for businesses, you know, advancing our capital, building our own middle class economy, which does not exist.
Right.
You know, investing in education, you know, transforming these institutions that have been broken and dysfunctional for so long. All of that. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about who should not be fielded on the party ticket, who finger, who did not finger. And so begin to wonder, you know, is this alternative? Against the ruling, is this alternative? What are the options we have for change in Liberia? If you see, according to you see the ruling party is doing terrible, and then you look at the alternative, and the alternative tells you there will be battle, day-life fight on the streets between different constituent parties of a new ruling elite. Imagine that. And if this recent CPP fight is any indicator, it will be deadlier than anyone could have imagined. And so I think it is important for us to see where it is. Ultimately, the campaigns will get out of this until these legal battles reach logical conclusions. It will be difficult to see how the 2023 race will line up, but it will be some players in the Weah administration, obviously. There will be second round, that is given. And at that second round, there may be a coalition of ordinary people who will say, no, we will support anybody. We will look beyond the demand of our political leaders. Because right now, people are looking for directions. They do not find direction. All they hear is the legal acrimony, challenges, political battles. They do not see solutions there. They do not see any kind of policy prescriptions.
Right.
Or some implacable challenges around health disparity, around poverty, around some of the terrible conditions How do they lift themselves out of poverty? What is their pathway? What is their options? What is the opportunity on the horizon? Who is finding creative solutions to their problem? These problems have challenged every leadership, every administration. Who is the answer? Who is being creative? Who is preoccupied with our people condition, not preoccupied with their ambition for power? These are the questions that they thought would have been asked. But those are not the questions that are preoccupying the minds of their leaders. Questions that are preoccupying their minds. Yeah, how do I outspot? How do I engage in conspiracy against another candidate and a candidate against myself? And how do I win on the merit of my argument strength? Or how much mischievous strategies I can use? So this is the battle that is raging, and this battle reflects obviously the nature of our politics, the nature of some of our cultural experiences. And it is the byproduct of our conflict as well. And we display some of the most destructive impulse for self-destruction, for mutual destruction in this country. And we are not fully recovered from that. And we are living that through our politics. We are still living the war in our politics. We are reliving the conflict in the way we deal with each other. We are reliving this conflict in a lot of different ways. So we have not fully overcome it. It has been expressed in every aspect of our life, every facet of our existence.
Okay. Well, thank you for the clarity and the context you provided, Mr. Abdullah Kyatama. If you're just joining us, you're watching SKTV. We're in conversation here with Mr. Abdullah Kyatama, who's joining us from Monrovia, Liberia. And we're discussing a lot of national issues. That being said, Mr. Kyatama, you made a very good point about the ordinary people, which we might term as the voters, as the Liberian people, and not necessarily politicians or anyone belonging to any political party or so forth. That brings me to one of the important questions of today, which is, what do you think might be some of the roles and responsibilities of these voters amidst all of this quagmire and this noise and things that are going on? What do you think might be some of their responsibilities and roles?
I think there is a tendency, to see the problems. No, if you're solving problems, you have to understand who are responsible for the problems. Mm-hmm. If you do not understand the nature of the problem, you cannot solve that problem. Mm. If you don't understand how that problem was created, no problem ever created itself. And no problem ever solved itself. Never happened before. A problem was not created by itself, and a problem will not solve itself. Mm. A problem is a product of our actions, of our thoughts. No leader became leader and gave themselves legitimacy and became president and senator. Mm. It is these voters that made them. And then if the voters are selling to the world products, they are the producer of these products. They are responsible for what they produce. If you run a restaurant and produce terrible food, and people are having terrible experience with the food you produce and eating, you, the restaurant owner, you have been producing all these leaders. You've been producing them, and then they're running your own stomach because you're producing them and you're consuming them, and you're consuming their product, which is sometimes good work, sometimes accumulated leadership failure. And the question in life is the issue of leadership failure. Every problem is the problem of leadership failure. And leadership failure looks like a generational curse on our country. A generational curse on our country. Leaders, the failures in history have been failure of leadership, nothing else. When the house is dysfunctional, who is held responsible? The head of the household.
Right.
When the police pull you in America, they go to the driver, they don't go to the passenger, they go to the driver first. When the business dysfunctional, they ask the manager. The country has been under-led, misled, and misdirected for a long time. And those who make the decision are the voters. So the voters have chosen for themselves people who will inflict harm on them, who are choosing for themselves those who deprive them of what they deserve. They are choosing for themselves those who do have vision to be a more inclusive and a just and a prosperous Liberia. That is the decision they made. That is okay if I'm making a mistake, everybody makes a mistake in life. I've made some terrible mistakes. You made some mistakes in life. We get second chance in life. Or in such, you got to repent and ask for forgiveness for your sins. But you keep repeating the sins, it's to say you are doomed to destruction. You keep repeating the same mistake by electing leaders who are repeating the same things that are happening. So we have to also zero in on the role of voters. And that is why we must engage in robust and effective public education on the role of voters. And part of that education is to tell them how the actions are affecting the country. How the actions have also deprived the country of the change it deserves, of the direction it deserves, of the progress it deserves, and how their votes have also affected the middle child in local country who now cannot access education because they are choosing a leader who do not prioritize education. And we have to remind them how their votes have led to people massive transfer of wealth to few at the expense of majority of the country. How their votes have also deprived women of their right in the protection of children and women in the country. And we have to remind them that do not think you're a spectator. You are a player. You are number 9 in the game. And your role has affected the country. You have elected, so it is a partnership between the voters and the leaders. The voters have decided we'll give you power. And the leaders have decided, yeah, we'll take the power. We'll do it. But they come back to the voters, no. We want you to suspend your outrage and disappointment in me because I'll give you few money and few things. I want you to suspend it. So it is that relation between the voters. If the voters do not change the relation between the leaders and themselves, the country will not change. Yes. Because there's years of accumulated leadership failure have been voters voting people in power who are also dependent. So at some point, we have to ask ourselves, what is changing because of that? If I'm voting for a representative in Cape Town, and in that representative, I was just in Cape Town 2 weeks ago, and I was working with a group of young people. They asked me they want me to talk to them about how they can change their role. And I tell them, I said, look, track your representatives and ask themselves, how many development have they brought to the country? Look at the budget 3 years ago. How the person in the house has increased that budget. Have the person in the house, Broward's program is not even developed. And it came to me to a farm, for the distant farm. And the first time I left myself for 2 hours, went in the farm. And they said, oh, just want to have a jet talk, but we don't want to know. So, and I was telling them, I said, track it. Ask the person, how has your leadership changed things in my life? What is different about what I think about myself because of your leadership? What is different about this country because you are elected? It's not possible now because you just got elected. But what can I predict based on some reasonable lessons or interactions with you? That something about my country will be better, will change because you are in power. If I cannot answer that question, then I cannot vote for you. And I still voting for you for answers, then I have invited the curse on myself. They are equally responsible. They have to live with it.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Ketema.
Yes.
You made some very interesting point here that in as much that they're factual, then that takes me to the next question here, which is, what is actually voters' education? Because for my own in maybe Campley or my papa then somewhere in Bon County there, or maybe Lower Magibi and other places, they'll be wondering, what is this voters' education, especially if they are not educated themselves? What would you say?
Well, I think voter education is using the power, understand the power of their voice and how they have an important role to play. Some of them really think that they're voting, if they're not as important, they just need to go vote. Somebody just telling them, I'm running for. But they don't know that how the implication of each vote. One vote can cost more hospital or less hospital. One vote can cost less insecurity and more security. One vote can cause more businesses in the area. One vote can create dictator can create a responsible leader. Your vote can create a dictator who can engage in massive destruction of lives and property in the country. Your vote. So they have not seen the power of their vote. They don't understand their votes. So we must educate them. The problem with our public education, we educate in a partisan way. Instead of telling them on the merit of their vote, we tell them how you can vote for our candidates. That is not public education. That is political recruitment.
Will you restate that very slowly, because you kind of went you're
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm a fast talker. So if I go fast, slow me down. I'm a fast talker. I'm doing that myself.
Yes.
I'm processing very fast in my head, so I just speak.
Restate that point. Restate that point, because I think that point is critically important for us to grasp. Please restate it, please.
So what I'm trying to say was that if you have to tell them that the power of their vote, that hospitals are broken today because you voted wrong. But the schools don't have teachers that have instructions and care because of your vote. You are responsible. You are not only an accuser, you are also the accused. You made it possible. You made it possible for that student to be defined. Your vote made it possible. Your vote made it possible that the justice system is at the mercy of the person with the highest dollar. Your vote made it possible. You can undo your mistakes. You can correct your mistakes. If you keep repeating your mistakes, you made a conscious decision. It is a relationship between the elected and ordinary people that makes change possible. No leader, if they convince themselves that they can get away with it, they will repeat it. If they convince themselves it will cost them too much to do it, they will stop. There's a concept that they will not stop until they are stopped. Period. And only one person can stop it, you the vote. You have so the significance of the power of your voice. The significance even before even your voices. Look at Tunisia. Ordinary people will vote out on the street and remove in the Arab Spring. People decided that no, we would stand together, we will raise our voices, and we would demand for change, not for the next election, but for now. We're not waiting for the next election, we're waiting for now. And when leaders think that ordinary people have the power to completely contain them, that is why issues of protest, these are legitimate democratic expression. So back to the issue. So the problem of our education is done in a partisan way, and sometimes it's spreading hate and biases. That is why I've always believed that when I discuss issues, even if I have a political side, I should be objective. Because someone has not belonged to my political side. I cannot speak to that because I'm trying to recruit them to my side, not to tell them the value of the issue, the importance of the issue, the pros and cons of the issue. I'm not doing that. I'm just wanting to come to my side of the bias, my side of the prejudice, my side of the understanding the politics. I'm not telling the power of their vote. I'm telling the power of your vote is when you vote for my candidate. Then that's when you're powerful. But when you vote in another person, then you're bringing no power. I'm engaging in discussion. So it is very important that these platforms get the last hour on our Freedom FM this morning. Our Freedom FM began to reach other counties. And one of the callers was telling me, why we tell you support the government, we're trying to be objective. I said, yes, but you deserve issues based on the merit than what's by our point. Because if my side will help you, then you'll not be where you are. So you need to understand your power. Because in your interest, my interest, for you to be so also powerful, that shake the truth of our power, people in power, and then they listen. These people in power do not listen to weakness, they listen to the strength. They do not respect weakness, they respect strength. So weakness, power on power.
So Mr. Kyatama, let me hold you there. You were saying that people, which I agree with you, but I would need some clarity and some expansion on that in the context of maybe leaders or other people do not respond to weakness, rather they respond to power or so forth. What do you mean? What do you mean when you say that?
So when leaders think you can get away with anything, they will do it more. But when they set a count from you and they make a commitment and they see that if they do not fulfill the commitment, it will cost them nothing, do not take it serious. But to sit across from me and let a commitment and do that, if they try not to live up to that commitment, will cause them expertise, their value, their power, their privilege, they will live up to that commitment. Of the intended to actions, and they feel that action will cause them a revolt or reaction, or massive reaction. That will be the end of the career. They will not try it.
Okay.
And that is where you tell them, you send them a message loud and clear that if you try this here in ICP, if you continue to do good work, we'll continue to support you and vote for you and support your policy and come out and show our strength. If you continue to lead the path that you promised, we will continue. We will not give you the chance to fill our people, to fill our children, to fill our country. We're not even giving you the chance for the next elections. We will disrupt. That is why around the world there are millions of disruptors. We organize. We call for recall of the senators. We will do boycotts. We give an act of civil disobedience. Say, no, we're not going to allow it. You said, folks, submit us to you. We're going to allow the deal until we see this is the Belgium in Africa. We'll do a comparative analysis. Where this type of concession agreement, we have the best. Or else we're not allowed. We will stop that process in Nimba. We'll stop it in this country. Leaders will be forced to make a deal for you. Nobody gives you what you want if you don't demand for it. Nobody's that with a cigar.
Yeah, but Mr. Kantama, then before we move on, in the context of this voters' education, there has been this thing in our country wherein people buy votes. Even as of most recent, it was reported, unconfirmed reports stated that in the election with current representative from district, I think 16 or so forth, that ran against Tilia Ure, votes were bought. It's also been reported that votes were bought in certain places during the senatorial election. But then my question is focused on not having the physiological needs of people being met. And I'm just putting you here so that the people can see who talking. I'll put a picture of you on there so that the people can know who talking, so that if anybody looking for you, they can come and find you in America and say that you were talking all that in it. But let me get back to the. Yeah. Yes, I did. So you'll be here fully responsible for everything you say here. You know, with your picture attached.
You also be an accomplice in crime, so get ready.
No. You're not putting me in a situation I can't handle. But let me get to the question, Mr. Katama, because I think this question is important. The Liberian people, from the time I've known myself or have been around hearing about Liberian politics or the country Liberia, their physiological need has never been met, such as we're talking to them about electricity, we're talking about rice. So physiological needs, they're part of these basic necessities, food, safe drinking water, shelter, electricity, just these basic things. They have not been met. What do you say to the man who has not eaten or who does not have food, and you tell him about voters' education and the importance of voting days, as opposed to this same political leader coming up and giving him $10 at that moment and saying, "My man, vote for me. I'll give you more if you do this." What is the contrast, and what do you say?
So when creating consciousness in people, I used to do community organizing in America. I used to treat community organizing, how to organize, how to create excitement on issues, how to build strategy on social change. I used to be training folks, different organizational activities. One of the things I tell is that people have different consciousness levels. Moses or Stephen will be at different consciousness levels, and that's okay. So it will grow, but it's contagious. When people begin to see a momentum attraction in the country around people raising their voice. Dylan, for example, they also have an issue of money, people money. In fact, those who spend the most money on elections, they must have, because with a new level of consciousness. The only problem with that consciousness was not sustained. It is erased. People reach a new level of consciousness when money can be used against those who have made it. In fact, money become a liability, not an asset. When people reach that level of consciousness, you cannot buy them. You cannot buy their soul. You cannot buy their conviction. You cannot buy their principle. You cannot buy their fear. You cannot buy their resentment and their outrage at the failure taking place. You cannot buy it. It's not for sale. When they send you that message, it's not for sale, your money is useless. But now, when it comes to that issue of education, I think people need to know. If you invest in, if you give your vote for money, here's what you get. You still listen to them what they get. If you're giving based on the direction you want the country to go, here's what you get. You show them, here is the benefit of the action, here's the cost of the action. Just tell them that. They may not get it at that moment, but they will later on get it, and they'll come back and say, yeah, somebody told me this. That's true, they're all right. We make the same mistake. I did a focus group in my TV company about issues in Nigeria a 4 weeks ago. Doing a focus group, a little girl said, when the African I said, the team, we were talking to him, he said, all of them made that mistake. Check on no, he said, so I said, you don't need both to understand the issue. See the issue as a real life experience. I said, do you need both for people to tell you the health system is broken? Do you need to get a PhD in health administration to know that when you go to access the hospital, it's not working the way you want to work? Do you know that these terrible drugs in the market and how? Do you need that? I said, no. Well, you know that because you feel that. I said, no, you are the expert on your life. Nobody, Professor Harvard, cannot tell you about your life more than yourself because you are the expert on your life. You know what you go through daily. Your daily experiences is more than anybody with PhD can tell you. They can write a book about you, but you are the book. They are just the author. You are the author of your stories. There's no greater author. There's no greater author than you, the author of your story. So if you begin to educate them on this, how it is simple, there are moments where they feel that they need an interpreter, an intermediary to interpret these things for them. The intermediary will tell them what is good for them, for whom they should vote. The moment we remove the middleman and make them the middleman, the originator, that value chain, they are influential at every point in between our value chain is critical. Tell them, take for example, you voted for this guy in Bonkate in your district. What has changed in your district? These people need practical experience in the public education. Practical experience. Do you know this is this? What questions should you ask the lawmakers? Tell them, you will be sure that ask these people in the meeting, ask 5 officials in your area, one of the most important questions will you ask them? And we'll write it on the board. I won't believe what came out of their mind. And I said, but why nobody knows it? You can think this. We say because they come and think for us. Do not find solution for our people. Find solution with our people. When you find solution for them, they see it is arrogant. And when that solution fails, they say, you caused the problem. You're lying to us. But when you find solution with them, they own it. So that is why it is clear you simplify in a clear term what is the implication for this action and you vote this way. But you should use the best example is their past votes. So since you've been voting, what has changed? Tell me. And then you ask them, so what do you want to change? Because it is clear the way you've been voting has not helped you. How do you want to change your condition? For you who are voting, make them to own the public education. It should not be a lecture. It should be a conversation that allows them to see that we all make mistakes and our actions affecting our country and the growth of our country. And we need to rethink how we need to reevaluate ourselves. We should not just say the leader, you are an enabler. You are enabling the leadership failure that has affected our country and that has plagued the direction of our country. You are an enabler. You are a part of the problem. You are not the problem to be solved. So it is important. And when these voters begin to reach the pronoun, Mr. Leader, whoever you are, if you're not solving the problem, you become the problem. Our problem to solve. We will solve you as a problem. When a transition from seeing the leader not as a problem solver, but as a problem to be solved, it gets better. It gets better and it gets more powerful. And guess what? It's the same message. The power voters are in Moswara. Just use Moswara. When you are ready, it happens. When the voters were ready for changing Moswara, it happened. When it's very much in 2017, we're happy. When you're ready, we're happy. But when you're ready, we're not happy. So they have to be ready. If they're not ready, we're not happy. If they're not ready, we got to wait for 15 years before we're happy. If they're ready in 15 years, that's why we're happy. If you're ready in 10 years, that's why we're happy. If you're ready in 25 years, that's why we're happy. The other will be old. Then the next people will be retiring in the Bahamas and smoking a cigar.
Easy with this cousin Stuart here. You see your life. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is SKTV. We're in conversation with Mr. Abdullah Atama, who's bringing light to some things from Monrovia here. The importance of voters' education, and also getting voters' participation, what are their roles and responsibilities as we gear towards the 2023 elections, and also other decisions that we would have to make as of now in an ASAP. But yes, I do agree with the points that you are making in terms of the voter education, how people should be part of this, more like a stakeholder into these decisions, as opposed to people coming to push these decisions on them and so forth. These are very important considerations that we need to have. These are very important conversations that we need to have. What do you say about voters that have already made up their minds, such as a grown man would tell you, a 40 years or plus man would tell you he's a born sedition when CDC was breathed maybe 12 years ago or 15 years ago, but this man is older than CDC about maybe 20 years or so forth. Or somebody will tell you, I've been in ALP all my life. I've been in ANC all my life. That's all I know. What do you say about these voters that have already made up their mind or seem to inherently not refuse to even consider any other suggestions? So, what do you say to them in terms of education?
But I think if somebody has made up their mind, that's fine. Because there's two things. Voter education on supporting your candidates, there's a voter education on the importance of the role of voters on the issue. Two different things. You have the right to support your candidate. But there are things that we can find common ground, for example. When voters are educated on their power, a similar for US Party for ANC and CDC can be united on an issue, for example. They can say, we'll form the Senate to make sure they invest in the health system. And that it will increase budget, so it's 10%, 125% increase. And any lawmaker that refuses will give it to us. So be this, will not vote for you, vote for election. It will happen. So it does not matter what party it is. It's that consciousness about issues that affect them. The issues in the country affect security, affect ANC people. We just need to find that intersectional point where all these issues are intersectional. They affect all different ethnic groups the same way. So we may not agree on one thing. In no time, conscious people agree on everything. Even in the movement for change in the civil rights movement, they could not agree. Everybody could not agree. But if we agree on three things and we just make progress on it, it's a huge progress for the country. We can suspend our disagreement on four other things that we don't agree for now. But when let's find common ground on those three, it will be a powerful movement. And yes, there are things that affect them equally. So the public education is about, where's the power of your vote? How your voice can change it. And you can reference in the past how it has happened. Make it easier for them. And tell them they need the psychology of leaders. They will not listen to you until they feel threatened, until they feel there's a growing demand for change, for new direction, and holding them accountable. They will listen. When you see that, they say, look at what you've done. Look at what your voice has done. And look at what your failure to act has done to you. I think when you do that, it will be helpful. But if we keep treating this through a parochial partisan lenses, partisan means to achieve that, it's difficult because I'm trying to talk to a guy from ESU. I'm going to talk about party defending my party wrongs or my party mistakes and my party rights. No, I'm looking at something different. I'm looking at the country. I said, no, we can find a common ground on something. We realize that Ministry of Education is not investing in primary education. We want free tuition for primary education, which is the gold standard. That fools this government. You know what? Elections is coming. Let me make sure all lawmakers sign a pledge to make sure primary education is in the budget, that 10% of all revenue from the Port of Monrovia goes to primary education, making primary education free. We can find a camera guy from the ANC, CDC. That's how public education begins. It is not to sell a product to somebody. It's going to be a sneaky oil salesman and try to win people over to your political side. Just look at the country. And if they just look at the political side, that's fine. Because you got a relationship with that person, you can maybe one day win them over to your political side.
Great.
But there's also political education for your side. It is good. You can do both. You can tell them the importance of what and how your candidate represents a change. How your candidate represents a future that they prefer. And how you can set them to the side and say, look at all the options this candidate. Look at what my candidate is capable of doing. Everything you want, my candidate aligns with more than the other guy. So the guy who won, or a guy who trying to, or a lady who trying to choose a guy, and say, you know what, 3 guys are running after me, but this guy aligns with everything I want. I want a guy who's stable. I want a guy who's this. This guy seems to have a lot more than the rest. So he doesn't have everything I want, but he represents a lot more on my checklist than the rest of them.
Right.
You can engage in that kind of education, but the issue is not buried in the education. The issue is not buried, it's highlighted. And your side is highlighted. You're connecting your side to the issue. You're not connecting the person to your side. 2 different things. You just want to connect the voter to your side of the election. No, you're connecting the voter to the issues they care about and tell them how your candidate connect with what they care about more than the rest of the candidates.
Right. Okay. Interconnectional issues. These are very. My last question on this segment, and we'll move to the last segment here. You know, we can wrap it up here. But my last question on this segment would be, I'd use Senator Darius Dillon as a yardstick or as an example for this question. Senator Darius Dillon and other Liberians, along with the CPP back then, created this enthusiasm, this momentum, this rejuvenation of Liberian voters who felt as though there was no need to partake into the politics of Liberia because maybe President Weah or the CDC had disappointed them. The expectation, the bar was so low, and to some extent, you know, Senator Darius Dillon and other people created this momentum and so forth. Yet, some feel that Senator Darius Dillon has let them down. He has not lived up to the promises and so forth, based on his actions and inactions as of recent. What do you say to these voters that might feel voters fatigue, that might not want to go to the polls, that might not want to be part of any electoral processes in the country anymore because they feel as though all politicians are the same and this is going nowhere. They're wasting their time. They've been wasting their time. What do you say?
Well, first of all, I think it's a very good question. I think, look, there is no, leaders are flawed men. The moment you begin to invest in egos to be a leader, you always be disappointed. And the another problem is the leader themselves. You have to lower and manage expectations. When people begin to see you as this shining armor, as this Messiah, as the Moses, as the Joshua, or take them, lead them to the promised land. And I said Moses could not reach to the promised land. You represent that Joshua generation, so we lead them to that promised land. You should lower expectation right there. That Lord, I'm a flawed man. I will fall short. I'll make some mistakes and say, oh, we are all falling short of the glory of God. Or we will fall short, we'll make some mistakes. Our humanity will come up. Our imperfection will show up. And you should do that. But if you embrace that, with that kind of messianic appeal, you try to create a messianic appeal and the desire. There's been long and wicked I've been prayed for, that people have gone to the mountains and fasted and prayed for, has arrived. You ready to fall. You are ready to fall. You have to see yourself as the ordinary flawed man. The people are not looking for perfect leaders. They are looking for leaders who can. Just one example. If somebody is drowning, you raise your hand. You're not talking about how that man. They want to rescue. They want you to do as much as possible, but do right by their side more than to do right by your side. Do right by our side more than do right by your side. Most of the time, do right by your side. So Dillon came into the picture. Dillon is a product of the protest movement. That Johnstown product was high. People were angry. To the government have fallen short. The government have made some catastrophic mistakes and missteps.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the time people were angry. The outrage reached a new level. People wanted some action. And then Dylan did a wonderful work, position himself in the movement, begin the voice and phase of the movement, begin the phase and voice of the anger, and the vessel truth were expressing their disenchantment with the ruling elite. And so they positioned themselves, wow, you were in the right place, the right time. You know, he benefited from the spoils of anger. And for the people desire for something different. At that moment, John Brown could have won that election because they wanted someone as a symbol of resistance against the ruling elite.
Mm-hmm.
But Taylor in the right place, the right time. And Taylor said the right thing and played the right card. He was seeing the right thing. He was seeing all the right good things. All the things he talk. All the things get to the channel, all the rap, all the level. We have all the level know that. Yeah, but what's in it? And they go a cheering, a cheering crowd, and a adoring crowd. They wanted to hang on every breath, every word of the long light. The light that was shining in the depth of darkness. And now lifting people's eyes to see the wrongs of the injustice of the country. You know. And so, but then when Dylan got there, you know, there's some challenges. The system will ask you. It says, okay, we'll test the man, which I will see what you know. The system does. The system is going to say, okay, that's like now for the that told. It's weak. And so Dylan made some missteps, but I think by far he's better than most of the lawmakers. I'll be honest. He's done this, but he made some missteps. And two, I think one of the problem of leadership, he played a terrible role in the CPT. He should not be a divisive factor. He should have united, should have been a voice of unity and reasoning. Because all these people got united, try to support you. Unite them, a meeting, they see momentum they give to you. When their unity was good for you, you make sure you're united. When it was not good for you, you prefer killing and you make sure you will destroy. No. The see unity you needed to win, you must maintain that unity for them to win. This victory must be shared. Is that not good for you? It's good for the next guy after you. So I think he did not show leadership on CPP division. I think he should have done more. But I think it's not late. I think he should have done more to unite the CPP group. I was expecting more of that. I was expecting Elena to even endorse anything, to withhold his endorsement and say, no, I want to unite these people first. And then I will tell them about that. People don't take your side. People take the way you use your side against their interest. People never hit your side. I went to a group that competed outside selling bullets, and I told them my side. They said, we already know your side. But you know why we appreciate your role? Because your side does not stop you from being who you are. Your side does not change you. Your side does not change you. And that's important for us. But it's good for you to tell us who your side, so we know what we're doing. But changes nothing. So it is important. So that role was not played effectively. And then he made some missteps. I mean, we know the story. I'm not going to go back to the story. You know, but all of us, every leader will fall short. The story of David, I mean, it's many stories. Obama made some missteps, terrible missteps. Obama going to Libya with one misstep, for example. You know, so I think it is our second chance. If that chance when God give us second chance to he know we'll fall short. He know there'll be error in judgment. He know we'll be tempted. But he wants us to be committed to being better, to being our better selves, to being better than ourselves yesterday. Then Ketama today can be better than Ketama yesterday. That we follow so we can pick ourselves, and that honor we should not make them to think that we are the Messiah. Let's tell them that we're ordinary people trying to make extraordinary change fast. But we cannot do it alone. With them. So I'll start there for now.
No, I agree with you. Thank you so much. If you're just following us, ladies and gentlemen, this is SKTV, especially for those of you who are following for the very first time. We're in conversation here with Abdullah Kyatama from Monrovia. We're discussing a lot of issues, a lot of national issues, issues for the future, issues that concern other things that we can look forward to as the election gets closer. Very important points here, very important discussion. Would ask you to share the show, invite other people to listen to this conversation. I think voters' education is critically important at this point. And I would have to agree with you that, Senator Darius Dillon had the momentum and he could have played a very pivotal role and so forth. And yes, I wouldn't have taken a side, and everyone would have a side at some point or should have a side at some point, especially in politics. But like you said, it would have been more strategic to, maintain the unity, maintain your side, because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, this is politics. You will need some people, and you might need everyone at some point. Very important. Very, 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 very important for us to understand. But thank you so much. Let's get to our next question. Let's get to our next question here, because I think that is important. This one is a loaded one, so I'd like to put it out there, and then maybe we can break it out into segments here really quick. What are some of the possible challenges for the next administration, or the next administration would face come 2024 after inauguration, whether it is President George Weah retaining his seat or a new administration that comes to power? What do you think might be some of the possible challenges that they would be faced with?
Well, I think that's a good question. Look, one of the things they would have inherited a very distrustful population. The population will not trust. They don't trust. The faith in the political class is diminishing very fast. Their trust in this political class is dying. And so we see okay, we're looking for alternatives. Every time they try to correct their mistakes. They go to CDB done them. They go to agent, the bucket-hearted person. So that next leader will inherit a distrustful, suspicious, and distrustful population that's become believing that these people are the answer. You know what? We get people that there's no trust. My husband's an alcoholic. I try. I can't live with that reality. So they get tolerating you. They won't appreciate you. So you now have to change. You have to do something so dramatic. And because they have chosen other leaders, like he said, a situation with Senator Brazil, you want to see whether you'll be different. And so everything you do, you want to see something that does not look like the leaders of the past. You do not want to see, this is we have scored one again. They won't buy, we get it part of the Simo. We just doing it because we got to vote for the sake of voting. But when we talk there, we just depend on God now. I want to go with Simos. Because if they God bring good leader for us, then we'll do it. But the other leader, man, they want to go, they want to punish all. We see the other one will say they're talking good, they get good, we go behind them, they can't enlarge the war, they can't enfool war, and they take care of themselves, they take care of their families, they take care of their friends, And so that leader will inherit so much. That leader will have to master the art of communicating, engaging these people, and making them feel that, look, this will be different. I will be that different. Or I will join you to create a difference. That leader will inherit. That leader, the deaf leader will inherit a very vulnerable population that has been exploited for so long, that have been used for so long, their hopes have been dashed for so long, that you got to say something that can really win their hearts again. Nothing you say will matter. What you do, it will be the best thing you could have ever said. It's what you do. It will be the best thing you could have ever said. You will have to correct all the mistakes of your predecessors. You will have to do things just to prove that you're the real deal, that you are serious for business, but they will have to see something tangible to make them to believe again, to restore their hope and their faith in the institutions of governance in the country itself. They have lost so much hope. There have been years of betrayal abandonment. They want somebody that can restore their hope. They want somebody who to believe in the country again. That this country is still the land of liberty. That this country can be inclusive, can be just, can be prosperous. But we may not get there at one time, but we are on the journey. They want somebody to put them on that journey, on a new journey. The country's journey has not begun. The journey to people's personal wealth and fame has not begun. They want the journey for them now. We are giving you a chance to go on your own journey, on your political journey for greatness and power and wealth and privilege. Now help us to get on our own journey so all our ordinary people who cannot read and write can find some hope. The children can do what life will not offer them. The children can achieve where they stop. The children can give them greatness. They just want to see their kids to grow, the grandchildren. But they will be active. What opportunity did not exist for them? It will exist for them. But you cannot be a leader who helps to transfer generational poverty from one generation to generation. Poverty, so it recycling, transfer of this poverty, transfer of powerlessness and hopelessness from one generation. So that leader will have too much work to do. That leader will inherit a broken and dysfunctional bureaucracy that always fails to be. And so how do we transform that system? That leader will also inherit people hungry and thirsty for opportunity. They want opportunity. They are desperate. They want opportunity. Some of them have never had support. Never seen only have a place their whole life. They private 40 years now. They just want something. They don't want to pay. They just want chance. They want work in some kind of factory. They just want to be at a tapper and a rubber plantation. They just want to be fishing in lip land. That person or nation desirous, desperate with the appetite for something they never had. They just want, they should share. They see everything on Facebook, on social media, other countries. They say one day, just be something. You have a chance to see it before you beat the last breath.
Thank you for that general perspective about some of the challenges, but I want to zoom in on maybe one or two aspects before I let go of you here, or before maybe one or two of our guests can call for interaction or whatever it is, or their views on some of the things that we've talked about today. Currently, and I stand to be corrected, I want to speak about the national debt. Where we are as a country. Because whether you like it or not, whether you're a seditious or you're UPist, you can make the case that, Ellen then took small money, they borrow small money, and Joe, we hadn't borrowing too much. Let's look at the national debt, because at the end of the day, whoever comes to the presidency would inherit this debt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. So currently we stand at 1.4 billion, almost 1.5 billion that we owe. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, when she first took over, was able to manage to some extent before she left office the debt that she met there. Some of our creditors, waived those debts or whatever it is. Where do you think we're headed? Because keeping context also, with this debt, if we're not able to meet up with our payments, that could also prevent the next administration from borrowing, which would in effect make them to some extent be restricted from doing some things. So what do you make of this national debt, and how does it reflect on the next administration?
Well, I think one of the problems, the debt is growing rapidly and fast. And I think there was the investment in the national debt portfolio. The national debt portfolio essentially represents businesses with gear stock. The government operates on credit, generally. And let me tell you this. The national debt portfolio, the whole regime of national debt, is one of the sources of corruption in the country. Because it's where John Brown tell Moses, how much for this your vendor? You'll be supplying air conditions to the government ministries. And then you say, okay, how much you supply, my man? Everything will cost, you'll 500,000, my man, can't have the 1 million, can't have the 1 million.
Oh, wow.
Get the 1 million. So these are legitimate means to deprive, to transfer billions of wealth to private pockets. Or stealing the wealth to private pockets. So you come with me $1 million, and you claim that You go to the ministry, go through the process, the case of $1.5 million because some of that money got to drop to John Brown, Bill Brown, Paul Brown. Everybody got a piece of it. Now, the thing that costs, they're not even negotiating with people. I mean, $250,000, they're going to $1.5 million because it is now. How can you go through a legitimate process? Now, so all these vendors are creating, I did this. So people pay, people been paying this stuff. People can rent, government renting a place, somebody said, well, the place, the cost, actually the cost, regular cost, market price is $50. We're going to give them $500 okay? No, not part of the deal. That is the market price for $50. Why are you calling $500? Because I got my friend in the ministry that's going to get something out of it. So I'm going to get $200 for the actual cost of it instead of $50. But that $300 goes to all of them for doing that. So it is a loophole that's been exploited from time immemorial. And that's one of you need a leader that says, look, I have all the small in the world, and I enjoy myself, and I do this. I get time to solve the problem, and I get for no nonsense. And now you don't have to break the system. You need to break the curse on the country. This is generational. So they say, look, let's do this. How do you do that? Look, if you look at the amount of money wasted in that debt process, and that is expenditure of the government. It takes millions of dollars to go to hospital. Hospital right now, if you rural counties do not have drugs. Got Nigerian medicine. There are many warehouses in Lagos, and people using it not real drugs. You know,
Hello? Kiatama, we're not hearing you. Hello? I think we lost Kiatama there because we're not hearing him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, while we are with Kiatama to reconnect here via Monrovia, I think this is very interesting. Keep in context also that, keep in mind that some of the depths that we're talking about, you know, came about based on different, you know, procurement processes, different budgetary allocations. You know, these few days when it was raised in the Senate as to present the, you know, the national debts and other things as to how these debts went, how they came about, and so forth. You know, it was very strange and very concerning. But also, we're doing some investigation as to how some of the debts have been wrapped up. These different road contracts that you hear almost every administration talks about when it comes, we want to do road. They have been doing road, I don't know for how long. This is how some of these guys get their cuts and their kickbacks. This is no joke. They use this thing, go and borrow all of these monies, and that's how they've been stealing, because it's an easy way out. That's how they've been moving money around. It's an easy way out. So yes, we're just on the debt part of it. Mr. Kiatama's phone went out. We just got about maybe 5 to 10 more minutes with him, and we'll be turning to you, the public, here for your input. But it's been a good discussion so far. So far, so good. It's been a good discussion. A lot of things, you know, we've talked about a lot of things. Once Mr. Kiatama comes back to the phone lines, we would we'll bring it back on. But I think a lot of important points about, you know, the debts and other things. I know also, just to bring this up to you, that we're also informed that Mr. Kiatama should be breaking his fast as well. So all of these things might play a huge role into maybe his abrupt leaving, but the phone just went off. So I'm not sure if he lost, you know, electricity for charging or so forth. Some of these things happen. But I think this is very interesting. These are very important conversations. We'll definitely have the time to dive into economic part of it, because whoever takes over, you can rest assured that burden will be on you. These are factors that we need to take into consideration when we're electing leaders as well. Who's able to negotiate and settle this debt or pay off this debt? You will need a responsible person who has a track record of being responsible with their own finances to do that. Listen, my people, this voter education thing, we're going to stay on it. We're going to try to focus on it. We're going to be one of the stations that will talk about voters education of a very good. Mr. Kiatama. Yes, you went off, but you're back on now. Let me bring you back on here. Yes, Mr. Kiatama, thank you for. Yeah, so you were expanding on, and I was agreeing with you about how people are exploiting the different loopholes when it comes to.
So where did I start?
So you stopped to the point where you were talking about people, the different contracts, and they go and secure the different contracts or whatever it is, and people got to benefit from it. So they carry the press up, they hack the price so that they can get a cut.
Yeah, in the cost of the services.
Yes.
Of the price, right.
Okay, so that was the economy, and I just after you left, I was telling the public or the audience here that I agree with you. Considering even the road that they do talk about, these guys use this to not only get money for road projects, but that's how they move monies around as well. Because these roads, we've been fixing them. I mean, Ellen came and spent all that money on road. John, we have road. We're hearing other candidates talking about road. Okay, so what kind of road problem we get somewhere that we can solve now, but we're just collecting money for it. Come on now. At what point do we slow down and say, okay, we've been collecting money? It's like, you are collecting money to buy something, but you're not solving the problem. So why keep investing in it? So I think that's a. Let me ask you this other question in terms of unity in the country. I know that's something that we struggle with, and most people don't want to talk about it. Most people try to shy away from it, whether it's from a religious standpoint, from a tribal standpoint, from a political or social standpoint. What do you think? How do you think the next administration could be affected with the divide, especially the polarization of politics in our country? Social media, to some extent, has I wouldn't say exacerbated, but it has exposed some of these things to the public and to the world at large. What do you say? And could there be a problem for the next administration in unifying Liberians?
Yeah, obviously. Look, this country is funded on division. It's a lot of unresolved grievances, a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness. So go on the street and get a book and talk. It's fighting. Yeah, and when I get started fighting, get it for fighting. Today I was trying to drive my car to the traffic stop. I'm trying to drive through another road. The guy when the bad guy came out, right? He stepped on the car trying to tell that guy for call. So one of my people in the car said, I'm a dead boss for $100, so let me have it. That's what I call. But I'm just telling you that the country is divided. The politics is toxic. The politics is slanderous. The politics is destructive. It's not a politics where it's a competition of ideas and the differences of philosophy. This is my suggestion. I think we need to build an economy this way. I think the problem in the country, not definition of the problem. I think the country is on the wrong footing because of these factors. So we do agree, we disagree ideologically on policy issues, on vision, on how it is done. Most of the issues in that we agree on the what. The difference is how to do it, how to get there. But the issue is the issue of how, the how. Now, but to the extent where people take a personal bit about it, CBD, for example, some of the fights that are being like people call some names that. And when the politics get that way, we are bequeathing to the next generation the way we do business. They got no other way to do it. That's how they're learning. The only school they're learning from our behavior. So we are telling them it's destructive to disagree. You can destroy me. If I'm going for something, you don't have to prepare to be competitive, to be destructive. Destroy me. Destroy the guy. We're telling them, we're modeling something that they know no other way to learn. Not only that, the people will lose elections, people will find a difference, but people see how can I completely destroy. They will actually people will come on like this to be insulting. They're not coming to disagree with you. No. They're not coming to say, look, sometimes I want to see how the guy disagrees with his ideas and stuff. I love it. I love to see the disagreement and or his strategy. They won't do that. What they will do instead is to launch a massive attack, have to destroy the person, have to create something. Let's just create some bunch of lies, discourage them. By the time they go find out lie, it's late. So these are kind of problems. They still have to show the war, civil war. It's not always some crimes around whether there should be a war crime, what those who families or what you want to we should have peace and reconciliation. Then we have so many land disputes. We have ethnic tensions. There's still those separate ethnic tensions have never fully gone away. We managed to tolerate them and coexist with the problem. You know what? I'm in this house and the things are not working. I don't want to be here, but I'm just going to tolerate and coexist. Is that coexisting? Is that living in the house? Is that coexisting with the problem? And so if those issues are not resolved, the next leader going to inherit a very serious problem. Now, it is because those unresolved issues went to the civil war for the first place. Because the system failed, the legal system failed, elections could not provide answers. In 1985, they could not provide answers for resolving our political ambitions and our political differences. So we resorted to violent conflict. So these things are happening. Every element that matters to war in 1990 still exists now. It exists. So all the things that cause the side in the penny, it triple sizes, in triple amount. You see, the kerosene were here, and the lay were here, and the matches were here, and the coal were here. That thing that cost a billion. There's plenty of things in the house increasing now. So, so if we don't have a leader that can save us from the brink, we'll get to the brink. And I'm not sure that these two people have appetite for conflict war like before. But I think that it has reached to the point where the country is polarized. These are really similar divisions, divided along several different front lines, what is ethnic, what is tribal, what is religious. These front lines exist. You need a leader who's a unifier, who can bring us together. You cannot resolve all human differences. What you could do is to find how to manage it, not to become a conflict and destructive. We reach to the point where we cannot live with each other, we cannot coexist. We have to destroy each other to exist. We're not looking at victory over one victory with our people. We also feel like one time we're going to win over them. And so I think this is where we are. And I hope that our voices can help create urgency around these issues and allow these leaders to rethink and reflect deeply. Because this is the only country we have. And we lose this chance. But this chance we lose, can get it now.
This is the only chance we have. And this is the only country we have. The voice of Mr. Abdullah Kyatama from Monrovia here, talking lots of different issues nationally and so forth. Let me ask you this last question for the day so that maybe you can go ahead and take care of business and do what you need to do. Give us your parting comment after this question, please, unless you have something else to add. From an international standpoint, because I don't care what you do and what I do and what everyone else decides to do, we would need to reestablish ourselves on an international stage, build connections, relationships, and so forth with key partners and allies. And that has to be done through diplomatic negotiation processes. Most recently, the Americans have lambasted us. They've called us out as a government, as a people, that we're corrupt. Corruption is so high in our country. Whether we like it or not, all of us are involved into this, directly or indirectly. What do you think the challenge of the next president would be in terms of reestablishing these relationships, building confidence, and restoring our image to the world at large? What do you say?
I think I think this is a really good segue to a conclusion. you need a leader right now who have a network of existing relationships. You can start from square one. Who can tap into existing. The global economy is interconnected. It's interconnected. The reason today we don't have a large-scale investment in Liberia. We have no large-scale investment that hire people for 10,000 people per job. No company has 10,000 per job. If you unlock the doors of the American economy or the American players, unlock the doors of other countries, you need people who can bring in large-scale investments, who can create a middle class. You have network. Someone can sit across the corporate counterpart of the fence around the world and speak their language and begin to convince them that you need to bring hotel chains in Liberia. You need to bring in production companies like that. You need to make Liberia headquarters of one of your corporations of West African regional regional headquarters is in Liberia. You make Liberia one of the beachfronts around the world around vacation satisfy the Caribbean tourist attraction. You need some of the tourist industry where it is that. So you need a leader who can tap into that. The second aspect is the issue of corruption. No, the U.S. government has made it clear repeatedly. And the problem is, and I think the government has done a good job in terms of engaging the U.S. government, but it has not harvested anything from that effort. One thing is that you can't go meeting the president of the bank, then come to more in the open and say, man, you got some corruption. What kind of relationship is that? Even the company J.J. Rao birthday, instead of the American being given to you, you say, I'm not going to give it, but you then correct me. Oh, you can't tell my brother who's getting up into corruption out of me. So,
that bestie friendship.
I hope I'm J.J. Rao president. You want to go to the mentor again? I mean, can you say I'm the president? He said, no, I'll check out him. So there's some small messages, right? So I think they are saying, no, before in the past we had invested and they were smart enough to list the investment, but they also say that total investment is not enough for development. We need to have a punitive tool which is sanction. We use the carrot and the stick. We incentivize you if you do well and penalize you if you go off track. Because that is our taxpayer money. They will hold us accountable. They will screw us up. They will lynch us. They will crucify us. So they are making it clear now. Hello, we'll encourage you. We'll come behind the scenes, but we'll come up with it. The second aspect is also faith and diplomacy, because most of it, Ellen did not allow it to come to the forefront. She spoke about it. We talked about it behind the scene result. But this government has not done very well in terms of building the kind of relationship and allies in Congress. So not every government is perfect, but they have friends in Congress that go to battle for them.
Right.
That go on the mark to go that vouch for them. That say, no, they are doing the wrong thing, but I promise you, in the next few days, they're taking some serious, tangible reforms that reverse course and put them on a good trajectory towards building something different than you've ever seen. They got no such person who will go to fight for them and make such statements and allay the fears of the American or freeze the American in a track of any potential action. So there is a need for commitment for corruption, but it's also send a message to the next speaker that corruption is serious. The liberties, the flexibility, the luxury that other leaders have, the next level will not have it. No, the people tolerant level for it gone down. Before you are telling them first thing you go down to mass or phone. Your own part, all the minutes feel it's kind of enjoyment the how but your part you don't have it. Just be free, just forget about that one. That is made a time, that is play stop. You try it, the umpire will be punished. So the next leader know that they're under greater pressure, greater restraints to behave themselves. So things will change. The environment is changing, the global environment that affects our conversation. Because look, the Linda Greenfield made the same case that it does made. The economic issue, every act of corruption is depriving one child. It's depriving a hospital. No. Economic issues, Moses, are intersectional issues. If you address the issue of the economy and corruption, you address all the problems of Europe. We have a paying job, you stable financially, you can access healthcare, you can access the quality education, you can access a building, you can live a livable wage. The economic issues are intersectional. They intersect health, security, everything else. So corruption is also intersectional. Corruption affects your health, affects education, affects everything else. So these twin quarters, these twin issues can be blessing and a curse. So that is my closing remark. I'm sorry, I'm done my response to your question. Overall, I think the Liberian government is strengthening the ties of the U.S., the relationship blown. Let me summarize. There are 4 leaders in the last 40 years in Liberia, 40, 50 years. 4 democratically elected leaders: William R. Tolbert, Samuel Doe, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. 5, Charles Taylor, George Weah. Out of these 5 people, out of these 4, President Tolbert was welcome to the White House. President Doe welcome to the White House. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf welcome to the White House. Only 2 leaders were never welcome to the House: George Weah and Charles Taylor. This government needs to change that.
Well, those were the words of Mr. Abdullah Kyatama. 2 leaders in most recent time were now welcome to the White House. These are facts, and they're very concerning and troubling. Yes, I agree with you that the current government needs to do all they can to establish themselves or build that rapport or relationship with the White House. It's incumbent upon them. President Charles Taylor stated emphatically clear that no government would succeed if they don't have a relationship with Washington. That is a fact. It is not a joke. So the current government needs to do all they need to do. If they have to realign themselves, strategize, do what they need to do, follow some of the recommendations that have been given them by the U.S. government, and some other Liberians, reach out to other people who would be able to help them make the case. They have to do that. We have been informed partially that the Millennium Challenge report that is coming up also, the government will fail again. We have been informed, and I'm saying this today.
Let me get a bad news about country, man. I'll let you go.
That I'm bad news that far, man. Okay, okay, I'm not taking my word back. I stand by what I say here today. But let me say in a good way. Let me say in a good way. My people, the Millennium Challenge here will not make it again. Yeah? Let me say it that way. But Mr. Abdullah Kyatama, it was an honor having you. What will be your part or your closing comments here today?
Well, honestly, first of all, for all you guys, I've come to admire what SPP has done, and Steve, you're one of the hardest persons in the media business, the hardest working guy I've known. You know, you do your health, you do this, you're organized, well-spoken, master of the issue, on top of your game, get a good, get a good personal vibe with people. That was a good relationship with people. I mean, you're phenomenal. I mean, there's certain qualities you have that we go out, you know, but maybe I'll get it before I die. But thank you. I'm serious. You're well-spoken, very articulate, smart, brilliant, understand the issues, connected to the issues. You're very passionate about your country. You're a hard-working guy. I mean, you put up the show, you care, you're reaching out to this. This is amazing. This is the kind of thing we want, and I think the role of the media will even become more important as the election into the closer. Our voices matter. Do you know how many people just come just to listen to this, Steve? They just want to feed about the country. They want to hear news about the country. They want to know what is happening for the country. They're in different parts of the world, but they're connected. Their heart is there. Their body is in America, in Europe, but their heart is like Liberia. Their soul is in like Liberia. Their frame is in different place. We cannot disappoint it. Media is content that produces quality content for easy consumption that leads them to actions and support for a beloved Liberia. Thank you for all you do. May God mightily and bountifully bless you.
Thank you so much, Abdullah. That was the voice of Abdullah Kyatama. I appreciate everything you do as well. I admire you. We are friends and brothers. Thank you for your work. Thanks for your contribution to our country as well. We wish Liberia the best. And sorry that we had to keep you this long and interfere with your fasting time and period. But these are some of the sacrifices we make for our country. Thank you. Thanks for all you do. And definitely sure we'll have to bring you on the camera very soon for us to talk.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. We can look at the elections, some of the data, so some of the numbers, the new numbers. I'm just trying to understand. So there's a lot of things to talk about. There's a lot of things to talk about, man.
We're definitely going to play in the next few weeks here to talk about specifically just focus on the elections, the past elections, and project some things for the next election and so forth in terms of number and data. Definitely agree with you on that. We will coordinate in the back and we'll get back with you. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Abdullah Katamba from Monrovia, Liberia. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. All right. We are back here. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you for staying and sticking with us. We'll put the number out here and take maybe a few calls, and then we'll call it a day. So let's put the number out here, please. Let's put the number out here. Please look on your screen. You will see the number, the call. Please, you have 1 minute each allocated so that we can get out of here too. I beg you. We have to start our day and move on with life. Place your call, please. We have the next 5 to 10 minutes. Let's get reactions, feedbacks, and so forth for this conversation. I think overall it was a good conversation. In my honest view, very informative, very educative. It's our responsibilities now to move up and continue to encourage our people. So we got the next few minutes here so that we can call this a day. I'm gonna say I'm looking at the time. I gotta, in as much as I'm not fasting, I got some things I have to go do really quick. In that token, let's give the announcements really quick. Let's give the announcement to go to everything here really, really fast here because we got some things we gotta attend to today before the day ends. Tomorrow we will be having a continuation of mental health and wellness. Please tune in at instead of 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, it would be 7 p.m. We'll go back 1 hour. And the reason for that, like I said earlier, I have something pre-planned that interfere with that 6 p.m. time. So 7 p.m., we are going to continue to have the conversation tomorrow, the continuation of intimacy and isolation. We're going to be in conversation tomorrow. Please, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Please tune in tomorrow. Mental health and wellness. Let's talk about intimacy and isolation. Let's finish up that part of the conversation. We told you the following week we would not be having any show on mental health and wellness. We'll resume the week of the 22nd. I think the 22nd or so forth. Yes. So yes. So in the meantime, we're asking you tomorrow to tune in. SKTV Scene Place, 7 p.m. Mental health and wellness free. The good thing about it is free. The show is free. The educational information is free. If you need the materials, you email us or you send us a message. We'll send them to you. Free. Listen, it can't get any better than that. Free, and free. So please tune in tomorrow. Saturday will be on. Saturday, you don't want to miss it. It will be noisy. It will be noisy. I know Katama didn't want me to say much, but we've gotten partial information, partial confirmation that we'll fail again. Further in the Melanin Challenge, again, further inside. Yep. Further inside, we'll fail again. I think for the 5th time in a row, we fail again. People might say, somebody reach out to me and say, oh, y'all are giving bad news of the country. Oh, y'all are giving negative news of the country. My friend, let me tell you something. The fact is the fact. Whether it's negative or positive, that's the fact. Yep, the fact is the fact. If the light in the country is off at the airport, when I state the obvious, I'm not against the country. Those are the facts. Also, if the person asks me and say, well, then why when light was on there, why didn't you say it? I said, because that normal thing, light's supposed to be on. You know light's supposed to be on. When you came to power, you never knew that light was on. And you saw light on, why couldn't you maintain it? I said, so when it's abnormal, then normally people complain or they make it a deal. But when it's normal, why should we make noise? Should I pass around and say, oh, light to RIA or light to RIA? What sense would that make? Light's supposed to be to RIA. Light's supposed to be there. Rice supposed to be in the country. Rice supposed to be there. When rice is not there, then it's abnormal. We'll talk about it. So on Saturday we'll talk about some of these things. We'll dive into some of these things, and we'll have some of these conversations. It's not against anyone. It's not personal. It's not a hate against the government. But we cannot keep silent about some of these things and make it look like it's normal or it's okay. No, it is not. Nope, it is not. So that's why we bring light to some of these things and we have some of these conversations and we talk about some of these things. It doesn't mean we hit the government, we hit the president, we hit this person, we hit that person. It just means that that's what's going on now. We got to talk about it. The same way how when they give the government 40 million, we talk about it. It's in the news. Like the same way how when the government misused the 40 million, we talk about it. It should be in the news too. What is wrong with that one? But long story short, good conversation will not take away from what happened today here on FKTV. I want to encourage you tomorrow to tune in 7 p.m. Saturday, the same time, the same place. We'll be here. We've reached the 2 hours mark. We want to say thanks to Abdullah Kiatama, thanks to Telvina Cole for working in the back to make some things happen. Even though she's busy, she said she wouldn't be able to come on. She's in different meetings today. She's in different meetings today. I want to say thanks to her for helping us in the back. And again, happy birthday to Sekou. The expectation, the hope is I will see him sometimes later this afternoon. Once I get off class here, I will see him. Sometimes later this afternoon, I'll swing by and we'll hang out, have our normal chit chat and see what's up. But in other news, we will be playing host to Tiawan Gonglo, our presidential aspirant. We told you that we're reverting to our usual interviews with different people, different leaders in our country. So we'll be reverting to that. Tiawan Gonglo is scheduled for early May. So in the next 2 or 3 weeks, Councillor Tiawan Gonglo should be on SKTV. The flyer and the announcement will be out very, very soon. We're also coordinating the rescheduled Sonda. She's in South Africa right now. She couldn't be on last week, so we're rescheduling Sonda. We're in conversation with her. Attorney of Law Sonda, who will talk about the Asila Minta deal and why there is this stall and what happened in the work that you have done, public pressure that you brought to bear that helped this movement, and we encourage you to continue. We're also I want to say the other one. I won't bring noise yet today. I will leave it at that. Saturday we're talking. But there are some serious noise that are unfolding in the moves that Nathaniel McGill made in America. Some names have been called. Some people have meeting with Nathaniel McGill for 3 hours. 3 hours. In America, they have meeting. Jeez. Jesus. These guys will not stop. But we'll talk about it. We will talk about it. We'll talk about it. And the spoon talk noise. It hasn't gone away. There's new development. There's new development. The spoon talk noise hasn't gone away yet. Not only that, they met with Josh Weah for all those hours, and they did nothing. The prison worship and the suck up. But there's another revelation again that they haven't told the public. We'll talk about that one too. Oh man, these guys will not stop. They will not stop. But we'll talk about it. You already know. We'll talk about it. Yes, somebody said bring Professor Alari Tokpa. Yes, we're working on bringing Professor Alari Tokpa here. As a matter of fact, we've spoken. We're in touch. We're negotiating, the time and everything, looking at his schedule and everything to make this arrangement. Yes, Professor Alari Tokpa, we're in conversations. with the hope that we have a date here very, very, very soon. Very soon. Very soon. So yes, good point there. Thank you for reminding me. It was part of the announcements I would have said earlier. Yeah. Yeah. Spoon Talk no, it's not going away. These guys there, I swear they life not balance. This life, no balance. No balance. These guys. But we put a brick on it. Because that other noise, somebody challenged. And let me tell you something. There are some things and there are some people you don't want to challenge. You don't. Because not everything we can talk here in public. There are some things we know. And not everything we can talk. Because once we talk it will be traced to the sources, but they are facts and they are reality. And so when you come, somebody send me a challenge. When you come and send a challenge, we wouldn't mind tracing it back to the sources, but we'll bring it to the Liberian people. And not everybody you can play with. You know, I learned a parable in articles that I really love. You know, the sheep, them, they can move together. They can be moving together. They can be going places together. But when it come to buy them, when somebody come to buy them or people come to buy the sheep, or they don't have the same price. They have different prices. That challenge that person sent. I take you on that challenge. You're watching the show today, and you are a member of the Spoon Talk. I take that challenge from you. I will show to you that the sheep then they can move together, but they don't have the same price. I will prove it to you. You will know what's up. And you're watching, because all of you can be tuned in watching. You're going to be watching from far off. For me, I don't watch from far off. I won't go on your show, I go on your show. Only one Facebook account I get a Moses. Any other Facebook account you see that I'm in. Yep. I show face when I want to show face. And when I show face, I make it known I'm there. But saying you want to pull out a challenge, go ask Dylan. And he pull out a challenge to Front Page Africa. You will see. You will see what's up. Spoon Talk noise is not going away. We inside. Let's have a good day. Let's have a good week. We'll be on tomorrow. Let me go over my friend. Saying all my friends and I ban me. Tell go about you try what you did ban me. Well, anyway, I'm hanging out with my boy Siku later. So that's something to look forward to. Y'all go find your friend and have a good week. See you tomorrow. 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's how we want to draw down the curtains. Ciao, 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 ciao. Bye for now.
Love. Find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me. Bombay, oh, find a friend like me. Bombay, Jenny, oh, find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. Hey, see bestie. Your bestie not sweet like my bestie. Your bestie la bestie. Find a friend like me. I say, see bestie. Bestie won't tend to wealthy.